what is resilience?
Well, for me, resilience is simply a bounce back factor, getting stronger. Stoic philosophers talked about mindset as a key part of resilience, looking at things that are challenging to you as ways to strengthen your character, uh, push you further, test your strengths. So resilience is simply the ability to take it and come back stronger.
So this, what a lot of people are calling COVID fatigue that we're in right
Yeah.
now in November of 2020, how is that affecting most of us in terms of our resilience?
Well, it's huge. There is a drain. So the balance we have to remember is that we're not designed to be isolated,
Right.
and we're not designed to be doing this virtual stuff over and over. I just did a post today and I measured a 90-minute keynote that I did doing this, and it was 758 calories that I burned. Now,
Oh, wow.
yeah, and so the brain takes 20 to 30% of your calories, but in this environment, it's up to 50%. So fatigue then can go into unhealthy coping behaviors, and unhealthy coping behaviors can affect sleep, and then we get into this vicious cycle.
Right.
So it's really easy in this time period to have our reserves drawn down, and then we have to just be more intentional on rebuilding those reserves.
Yeah.
Um, Dr. Jernigan, he's a clinical psychologist that specializes in PTSD and burnout,
Okay.
says that up to 90 million Americans have experienced either a level 1 trauma or level 2 trauma.
Mm,
So that category of the fatigue, the stress fatigue,
right.
that over time would fit into that level 2 trauma.
Mm,
And that's huge. I mean, unprecedented. Uh, Today in the workforce, uh, pre-pandemic, about 4 in 100 people had some level of PTSD.
okay.
When we go back, it'll be 3 in 10 will have some form of trauma that they're processing through. So again, that's another drain on our resilience level that is unprecedented. And I'm not sure the workplace is even prepared to know how to deal with that.
Yeah. So we're both really excited about the concept of understanding our talents and strengths.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
as somebody who's been working in this field for a long time now, how is it useful for us to know, number one, our top five talents, but then
Yes.
number two, how those talents kind of fit together in terms of this concept of resilience?
Well, I'll refer to both some of Dr. Clifton's work and Martin Seligman's work.
Yeah.
And so these strengths are what you might call those really strong synaptic clusters,
Okay.
what you naturally do best and enjoy most. And we know that when you activate them, you're releasing either dopamine for that kind of enjoyment, pleasure, or if you're in the flow state, it's endorphins. So those are rejuvenating. Uh, but most of us don't know what they are. We kind of know, we grew up with a sense, I like this, I don't like this.
Right.
But um, unless you really specifically know, then you cannot specifically or intentionally play to those strengths and draw on them. I can hear people that have, for example, a strength called achiever, which
Right.
is a get it done strength,
Yeah.
saying, I don't feel like any of my work is accomplishing anything.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
somebody that has strategic, really quick at figuring out where to go, but we don't know where to go. So those strengths are getting constrained or drained, and it's showing up.
How would somebody know if they're struggling with their own resilience?
Well, sleep, number one.
Okay.
If you're having a hard time sleeping, energy level, number two, attitude. Do you tend to get a little, my wife notices when I have a setback that I get a little she calls it prickly, uh,
Okay.
unhuggable. uh, People around you, if you have good enough relationships,
Yeah.
uh, people around you can give you some feedback. Hey, you don't look like your normal self. So it's really important to give people permission. Um, these are all some of the elements that we've been working on. We've got a resilience model called the 6 disciplines for post-traumatic growth.